guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing great. So in the last video we discussed about general navigation and flight planning and monitoring, last 10 days exam preparation, and in this one we are going to discuss about instruments and radio aids. These two topics are very vast in air navigation, and if questions are being asked from general navigation, so these two would become in a much less proportion. But if these two are being asked in a vast, then trust me, it will cover 3/4 of the entire question paper. So do make sure that you do these topics very carefully and practice all the questions. Don't leave a single question of Oxford book. Okay, so let's start. So starting with instrumentation, we have the very basic, the neve of the instrumentation topic, that is the pressure heads. We have to remember all the three pressure heads, that is static, pitot and dynamic. The definitions, the calculation, that is pitot minus dynamic is equal to static, or static plus dynamic is equal to pitot, the same thing. It's very important. Linking this to another important topic, we have the pitot pressure, static pressure and dynamic pressure is fed to which instruments in the aircraft, whether it is the ASI, VSI, Mach meter, altimeter. All these things are very important. Again with this comes errors. The very important topic in instrumentation, and I've studied technical, I've studied RTR. These errors, these speeds, whether it is indicated airspeed, calibrated airspeed, equivalent airspeed, true airspeed and ground speed. All these airspeeds, definitions and the errors for which they are corrected for, whether it is position, compressibility, density, temperature, all these things are to be remembered by heart. This will be helpful in the long run. Now the main instrumentation portion begins, and we have the 5 most important instruments in the cockpit, that is ASI, altimeter, VSI, Mach meter and radio altimeter. Radio altimeter although is a part of radio aids, but yeah, it is applicable in this one as well. So in this we have to remember the uses of these, the full form, that is airspeed indicator, vertical speed indicator, principle of operation, uses, and a lot of you might be having confusion. Construction is given in a lot of detail in Oxford book. Don't just stick to construction. You can read it for once, but yeah, in my attempt as well, and I don't think any of the attempts recently construction is being asked, so you can just leave construction, just read it once and then feel relaxed. We are there to become pilots, and this is a bit concerned to engineering things, so you can leave that. Moving forward to gyroscopes. Gyroscopes may we have to remember gimbal rings, degree of freedom, principle of operation, properties, the RPM and all the instruments that are related to gyroscopes, that is turn and slip indicator, artificial horizon. Artificial horizon is which type of gyro, that is 3 degree, 2 degrees. All these things are very important. And in gyroscopes we have one more thing, that is number of gimbal rings attached, and a calculation could be there in gyroscopes, like radius of turn calculations are given at the end of the topic in Oxford. So 2 to 3 numericals could be asked from gyroscopes, so do remember it. Moving forward, we have magnetism. In magnetism, one mark questions could be asked from dip angle, the definition of dip angle, field strength, polarization, and very importantly the color of poles, that is red and blue. We have read in school times as well, so yeah, it's the same. Difference between hard iron and soft iron, type or example of one each. And very important, variation we have already covered in general navigation, so I don't think that would be a problem to you. Calculation of variations could be there from magnetism. Moving forward, we have artificial horizon, turn and slip coordinator. These two are very important instruments as well. I'm sorry if I forgot to say that, but these two are very important instruments. These all come in 6 packs of aviation, and in this we have to remember the principle of operation, the reading. We should know how to read this, whether in a turn and slip coordinator, whether it is skidding or slipping, the ball will go right, ball will go left. And when very important thing is there, questions would be there, like when the aircraft is on ground, so the ball will go, if it's turning left, so the ball will go to the right or to the left. Questions, tricky questions like this would be there, and in Oxford you can get a good practice of these. So do solve the back questions. Artificial horizon is done, turn and slip coordinator is done. Now we have the INS or IRS. I just studied the principle of operation about these, but don't do this mistake. You never know what could come in exam. Alien question could pop out on the screen and you will feel the anxiety levels would go high. So do INS IRS principle of operation, and you should also read about apparent wonder in this, and the ring laser gyro, the accelerometers. These all 3 to 4 topics are also very important in INS and IRS. In direct indicating compass, 3 properties are very important, that is aperiodicity, sensitivity and horizontality. So all these 3 should be remembered. And nextly we have the EFIS, that is electronic flight instrumentation system. And there's the modes, that is the full VOR mode, full ILS mode, map mode, plan mode, with diagrams. The diagrams are there. So in diagrams you have to remember all of these, because a direct question could be there with diagram, that a figure would be given, which type of mode is this, and it's very helpful again in flight. So please remember it carefully. Now system symbol with color, active waypoint, inactive waypoint, airports, and tuned navigates, color which is cyan, amber, magenta. All these things are very important in instrumentation. Now if you're following the Oxford book, then at the end of the book in instrumentation, 2-3 topics are given, that is yaw dampers, auto throttle. Guys, just leave it as it is, it's not important at all. At my time also I was having confusions, I read these as well, but it was of no use in instrumentation honestly. So you can just leave it like that, and that's it. Starting with the second segment of the video, that is radio aids. Before starting it, guys, I am it's not a laugh, or it's just a sense of anxiety, and just want to tell you guys the importance of radio aids, that this topic is very important in your RTRA. RTRA is considered to be the most hard subject amongst the 6 subjects. But honestly, if you are clear with your nav aids, radio aids, what is VOR, what is TME, all these things, then RTR becomes half of the way easier. Because I was not, I actually I laid my full attention to general navigation. I studied instrumentation and radio aids as well, but yeah, my full focus was on general navigation, because I thought numericals could give you a lot more number than these, and theory again, a lot of theory. So yeah, radio aids, but radio aids is very important. If you'll do it doing air navigation thoroughly, then your life would be very easy in the cockpit as well, and in the RTRA exam as well. So do trust me, radio aids go, if you're giving 1 hour to general navigation or to instruments, give 2 to 3 hours to radio aids. It's that important. After studying RTRA, I know the true value of radio aids. So yeah, that's it. So let's talk about the last 10 days, and I'll be starting with what are radio waves, the proper definition of radio waves, what is polarization, vertically polarized, what is its importance. Polarization ka direct question could be there, what's its importance, sorry. Now we have the ionospheric propagation and the type of waves: sky wave, skip distance, dead space, space wave, ground wave. All these waves ki definition and difference amongst the 5 or 6 should be remembered. Now we have modulation. Modulation, the basic need of radio aids: frequency modulation, amplitude modulation. Both of these definitions, why it is needed, what is the benefit of frequency modulation over amplitude modulation, or amplitude modulation over frequency modulation. This is very important. Following this, we have the pulse modulation, the whole process, though it is not asked, but yeah, in RTRA again it was asked from me, in depth pulse modulation. So for the exam point of view, you should remember the pulse modulation definition, because a big or small paragraph wouldn't be there, a one-liner question would be there on pulse modulation for sure. Now advantages and disadvantages of single sideband, double sideband, and why are these formed. Sidebands are again very important topics in radio. Following this, we have the principle of antenna. How does it work? Don't go too deep inside the working. Just read the definition and principle of operation of an antenna, how it is used, construction and all. If you want, you can read once, but it's not needed again in radio aids. Now again, the most important, nav aids. Nav aids, just like instrumentation, we had ASI, VSI. The lifeline of radio aids, nav aids. And in this one, we have the VDF, variable direction finder, ADF and its airborne equipment, NDB and its airborne equipment, ADF, VOR and its airborne equipment, RMI, ILS and its airborne equipment, CDI. All these things uses frequency, principle of operation by heart, nothing else, by heart. no other thing to be said in this. Why DME is paired with VOR is again a very important question. And in this ADF NTP, you should also know how to read the course deviation indicator, whether one dot means 2 degree to the left, 1.5 dots mean 3 degrees to the up. All these things are to be remembered. And diagrammatic questions would be there, like diagram would be given and it is saying that how much the aircraft requires deviation. So you'll see a course deviation indicator and you just align that sign with the course CDI of the aeroplane, so you'll get the answer then. Now again with this, we have the radio altimeter and airborne weather radar are also two most important instruments in radio aids. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, nearly 10 instruments are very very important in radio aids. Don't leave these in any case. The QDM, QDR, all of the things would be there after, but principle of operation and frequency, these two things of these all instruments, just make a flow chart. There's no other choice, just make a flow chart. And these all nav aids would be helpful in RTRA as well, you're flying as well, everywhere. So this is the most important topic of radio aids, or I'll say air navigation. Okay, so that's it. Now we have some theory part, that is loop theory, loop aerial, sense aerial, 180-degree ambiguity, cone of silence is also there, cardioid is also there, lima cone is also there. All these terms that I spoke just now, just read about these and try to remember it in long run, although it's not very important during our flight, but yeah, for the exam point of view we have to remember this. Marker beacons in ILS, whenever I say ILS, it's very clear that marker beacons are there, but marker beacons frequency and distance from the RVR, distance from the touchdown zone of the runway is very important in ILS. Now the lobes, that is 90 Hz, 150 Hz, the color of the lobes is very very important, whether we are too much left, too much right, all these things, the questions would be there in a tricky manner. So try to remember this one. Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, A, B, C, ILS categories. I didn't remember the table, and I faced consequences in RTRA exam as well. Categories of ILS are to be remembered by heart, like RVR, decision height, all these things. Make a table kind of, or if you're following Oxford, then in the end of the book, in the summary kind of, it's given category. So just remember it by heart. Garbling and fruiting errors, again very important thing. 1 mark questions would be there. Radar full form, radio detection and ranging. This is very important. Radar, just know the basics. Radar full form is very important. Types of radars, primary radar, secondary radar, examples of secondary surveillance radar, whether it is DME, VOR, ILS. 4 to 5 options would be given and you have to choose the right one. Coming on to transponders, why mode S? Why mode Sierra is better than mode Charlie and mode Alpha? This is very very important. Mode Sierra ke advantages, how many frequency paired channels are there, all these things are very important in mode Sierra. And mode Charlie and mode Alpha ke disadvantages are also given in Oxford book, so you can read it from there. Now we have the TCAS. It's again a very important topic in which resolution advisories and traffic advisories are there. You have to remember the distance or the time at which both of these are issued, and why this resolution advisory is issued afterwards, and what is the instruction given by the aircraft to us, whether it is pull up, sink down, or turn left, turn right. All these things are very important. Coming on to the last topic, that is satellites. In satellites, we have GLONASS, GNSS, GPS, India satellite, Gagan. You have to remember the orbits, the number of satellites, the spare satellites, the number of satellites orbiting in the same plane, the number of satellites pair, whether it is 21, 25, 24, options would be given. Don't get confused. Just pay attention. Just try to recall all the things that you have read in the past 10 days and you'll be able to score really well. So we are finally done with the last 10 days exam preparation of instrumentation and radio aids. I hope this video was helpful for you. I know it took a quite longer time, but yeah, I tried to cover all of the things, and these are the most important things in the last 10 days that could give you, if you study it carefully and solve the questions, then it could give you good marks in the first attempt. So trust me, just practice all these questions, all these topics, do thoroughly as I told you, and you'll score very very good marks. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you, and if it was, then do comment your views below. I'll be glad to know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys the next time. All the best for your exams and keep flying.